Welcome into Fintech Savvy by NXTsoft and OmniConnect, the #1 fintech to financial institution API connector. Now, if you haven't tuned into the show before, here is what we do. I'm going to go through a rapid roundup of this week's most fascinating fintech news. So let's get right into it. First up, Google has pulled the plug on Plex, its ambitious plan to offer banking services to users, which was announced almost 2 years ago. The idea was to allow customers to open bank accounts on the Google Pay app as part of a partnership between the tech giant and financial institutions. Plex accounts were set to debut last year, but the program suffered a series of setbacks, including the departure of the executive who spearheaded it. Despite showing strong interest among consumers, especially Gen Zers and millennials, analysts believe Google ultimately may have decided it wasn't worth antagonizing its current and prospective cloud services customers. Forrester research analyst Peter Wanamaker said this: "Banks are worried about disintermediation, and I think it's likely that Google executives were getting signals that banks weren't on board with what Google was going to do. They made the bet that there was a greater gain in selling to banks rather than selling to customers." Next up, analysts at Wells Fargo are predicting that over 100,000 banking jobs could be displaced by technology over the next 5 years. The bank's new 110-page report forecasts the massive wave of frontline job losses as large U.S. banks invest more in digital banking and other tech like AI, cloud computing, and robotic process automation. Roles slated to disappear include branch managers, call center employees, and tellers. Wells Fargo Managing Director Mike Mayo says this: "Developers are the new bankers. These tend to be higher paying positions, so it may be the case that while banks reduce headcount, they don't lower compensation as quickly. In any event, banks should be able to significantly cut back office headcount over time." And finally, a hamster has been trading cryptocurrencies in a cage rigged to automatically buy and sell tokens since June, and it's currently outperforming the S&P 500. Yes, you heard that right, and his name is Mr. Gox, G-O-X-X. The hamster's owner built an additional office to his cage called the Gox Box that gives him the ability to determine which crypto to buy or sell by running on a wheel and then crawling through one of two tunnels, one to buy and one to sell. Mr. Gox resides in Germany, but his trading activities are live streamed, and so far his performance has been impressive. As of this recording, his portfolio was up over 27% according to the Mr. Gox Twitter feed that documents daily performance. The portfolio was funded with the euro equivalent of $390. And that is all we've got this week. Fintech Savvy is brought to you by NXTsoft and OmniConnect, and if you want to break the integration barrier and fast track your fintech, or if you're a bank or credit union and you want to connect your core to anything, we would love to hear from you. Go to nextsoft.com and reach out. Until then, we'll catch you on the next Fintech Savvy.